I feel like the biggest mistake people make when they dive into a new endeavor, and let's face it, solar for most people is going to be a new endeavor, right? Unless you're coming from another solar company. And this is true for anything. If you're diving into anything new, I feel like if you don't dive in fully and remove all safety nets, you are going to find yourself half-assing it. I think that it's a very, very common mistake. People tend to tippy-toe into things. When you're tippy-toeing, the commitment level just isn't there. Your level of determination is not going to be anywhere near what it needs to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here. I'm Riley Traveler, your host. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Mark Featherstone, looking very green today.
Yeah, you too, man.
Thank you. Thank you. That's one of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me. And we are here today with a lovely guest. Okay, this is none other than Mr. Jeremy Goddard, a.k.a. J. God, a.k.a. the Godfather. What's up, Jeremy? Welcome, man.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Sorry I didn't get the green memo.
It's, you know what? We sent it out months ago and had multiple follow-up reminders. And you know what? It's okay, dude. What I've learned is the best salespeople, they don't get in that much, like, you know what I mean? They don't call instructions super well. No, it's just, what's the word? Just a coincidence that Mark and I decided that green was the move today. And you woke up feeling like blue was, I like it. I like it because you're saying, I'm here to bring something different than what you guys are bringing. And that's why we brought you on, dude.
Nice.
Yeah. So I do got to give, this is episode 4. If you haven't checked out the first couple of episodes, they're incredible. We had Bruce Hodges on after saving a couple of adolescents from a burning building. Episode 2, we had Steve Diamond on here, just dropping absolute nuclear bombs of value. If you're a solar salesperson or just a salesperson in general, there was so much value there. Last week, we had on Emma Casale, one of the most prolific setters in the solar space, really the best that I have ever actually seen in my dozen years of doing this. And today, we got Jeremy Goddard on here, and I'm going to introduce him in just a second. But first, we do have to give a quick read to our sponsors. One of the reasons we did this, the podcast, this is called The Signal, and it's a multi-purpose podcast. We call it The Signal because there's a lot of noise out there. There really is. And especially in the solar space, I don't know if you guys, we've experienced it, being a part of different organizations and seeing what's out there in the marketplace. But there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of, glitz and glam and just not like real stuff that really matters. And the purpose of this podcast is to be a signal through that noise. We're here to bring you real value from real people who are doing real work in real time and getting real results. And that's what we're here to do. That's kind of the first purpose of this. And the second purpose of it is to just give some of these incredible people inside of our organization, but we'll probably bring on some guests from outside of the organization at some point, but give them a platform so that anybody on the outside is looking for a great leader or a great person to come and work with. We got them here in spades, and Jeremy's one of them. I'm very excited for everybody to get to know Jeremy. And then the third reason is just the ad sponsor money is just so good. We're now up to, I think our last episode in the first week had, over 100 listens. And so you can imagine how valuable that is to these advertisers. And so, I'm actually really excited about this one. So I just got to read this ad for just a second. But this episode of The Signal is brought to you by ShamWow. ShamWow, the only cloth you will ever need. And I got to say from personal experience, I have a ShamWow.
Me too.
And some people are like, oh, how many do you have? That's a stupid question. You only need one. See, the difference between a ShamWow and a paper towel or a regular towel is like you need to wash those. You need to wring them out when they get too much water in them. You got to do all this maintenance.
You got to toss them away at some point.
And eventually they're just done. Okay. I've had a ShamWow for the last 40 years. It's a family ShamWow. And I've washed my car with it. I've dried my car with it. I've cleaned up spit, puke, baby diapers that overflow and spill over onto the floor. I've washed and cleaned with this ShamWow. And I'll tell you one thing I haven't done with my ShamWow. Washed it wrung it out, or thrown it away. It just keeps working. It's one of the most incredible inventions of all time. So shout out to ShamWow. If you don't have one yet, go get one, but don't buy too many because you still need it. Anyway, oh my gosh, it's so good to be here. Okay, ladies and gents, now that we're through that, and thank you, ShamWow, for all the money for that read. Jeremy Goddard here. We go way back. And I'm going to stop dominating the mic in just a second, but I just got to introduce Jeremy Goddard for those of you that don't know. Jeremy Goddard is one of the first people to join our organization back in June of 2020. You'd just been laid off. And listen, some people were laying off and others were hiring, and we were hiring. Okay. And Jeremy came in the door and Jeremy, I just want to share some stats. You started out as a setter in our organization. You very quickly started closing deals out of necessity. Like we just had a lot of leads at the time, as we're like, hey buddy, you were one of the most incredible setters, and a great setter when everybody's fighting over who's running those appointments. And Jeremy Goddard was like, you knew if he was setting an appointment, it was absolute fire. And then out of necessity, we're like, hey, we need you to start closing some deals. And so you learned the ropes, you started closing some deals. Then we needed somebody to step in and be the leader of a team. You stepped in and became the leader of that team. And then over the course of time, that grew from 1 team to 2 teams to 3 teams to 4 teams. And you now are, you run the most dominant region in the country at the company. The historical numbers are you've out installed every other region up to this point. Personally, you got here at Boundless, just at Boundless, you got over 250 personal installs under your belt. Your region has over 2,500 installs and counting. That's probably going to tip over the 3,000 install mark by the end of this year, which is pretty incredible. And you're just one of the hardest working, coolest human beings that I know. And so that is how I wanted to introduce you. You've been there and you've done it, and you've done it every step of you haven't skipped any steps in the process of becoming a great leader in the solar space. And you've just been a joy to work with 99% of the time.
So we could talk about that 1% too, right? I don't know exactly what.
I couldn't even tell you what it is. I couldn't even tell you what it is. So anyway, guys, this is Jeremy Goddard. We're now through the intro part of this, so everybody can take a deep breath. Oh, it feels good to get through that. Jeremy, welcome, man. Mark, I do want to kick you the mic for just a second, and then we're going to get to know Jeremy. But what would you like to say to the audience, the vast audience, about Mr. Goddard before
Jeremy Goddard? Well, we go back to a previous organization, before Boundless was even right. Damn, hired me. Yeah, that's right, man. And I remember when you started setting there, right? You came in, and I'm sure you'll tell a little bit of the story. You came in and you were selling, and then you started setting. And I think it might have been your first appointment or one of your first appointments
in Rhode Island.
It was in Rhode Island, and it was a pastor in Rhode Island, I remember. And I was like, I've run a bunch of different appointments from a bunch of different people at this point, and I remember showing up there, and he spoke so highly of you, and he even knew a little bit about me. Like, you had teed me up, I remember. And I remember walking into that house, like it was so familiar, it felt like right away, and so you had bridged that gap really quickly. And yeah, it was one of the best appointments I've ever had in my life. And that was like my first experience of like running one of your appointments back then, and so that was like the first moment that I was like, oh, Jeremy got like, there's something here. Like, he's incredible. Actually, I had never run an appointment like this before. And, so yeah, cool little story. That was really my first introduction to you.
Yeah. He was a manufacturing facility for laydowns.
Oh yeah. It was a laydown. People say like laydowns don't exist, in solar. It's like, well,
you got to create them.
Yeah. You got to create them. You run one of Jeremy Goddard's. It's a laydown. So
yeah, I remember all of this happening in real time. And like it's like Jeremy's got something. Jeremy's good. Jeremy, like I do, this stuff comes to you all the time. But Jeremy, let's, before we got a lot to talk about today. You're somebody that, has a ton to offer in like from a multitude of different angles that we could take this. We kind of narrowed it down a little bit, and we'll see how that flows. But, just to get started here, I'd love for everybody to be able to get to know you just a little bit on a personal level. Why don't you start out with just give us your background, like where you came from, where you grew up, and kind of if you could take 5 to 10 minutes, and if we could just get from when you were born on this planet to when we got to know you for the first time. Let's kind of fill that gap there, and let's see how we do.
That's a lot of years, though.
Well, you're a young dog at heart.
Well, first of all, I want to start by saying tough acts to follow with Bruce, the hero that saved people from a burning building, and then Steve Diamond, the MVP of the company, and then Emma Casale, the greatest field marketer that's ever lived. And these are the acts that I have to follow here. So,
I agree. I don't envy you.
Yeah, these are brutal acts to follow. So,
well, it says something about you that I knew you could.
So here we go. Anyway, so the time leading up to me meeting you guys, my life in brief. I was born in Oregon, weirdly. That was kind of an accident. My dad was going to school out there. As I was less than a year old, they threw me in the back of the station wagon in a basket, and we drove across Canada to Massachusetts, where the whole family was. And, that's where I was raised. So raised in Haverhill, Massachusetts. That's where I grew up. We were a really, horsey kind of family. If anybody out there grew up with horses, you know what that's all about. It is no picnic. It's early mornings. It's a lot of heavy lifting, chores, shoveling, feeding.
Oh, that's cow.
Milking the horses. Yeah. So it was farm life, basically. Haverhill, Massachusetts, I think there's a bit of the stigma there that's kind of like city living. For us, it wasn't. We were out in the Ayers Village area. It was really rural. Anyway, that was my upbringing. It was, both of my grandparents, both of my grandfathers were World War II heroes. So we had a proud military tradition in our family. The grandfather on my mother's side, he was a POW, and he was captured in France. And the other grandfather was one of the original 200 Carlson's Raiders in the Marine Corps. So he did the entire island hopping campaign and like the most crazy war scenarios you can possibly fathom. So very proud military tradition there. And I eventually, after school, joined the Marines. Once I got out of the Marines, I decided to let my hair down, quite literally, down my back, and traveled around the world for a while. I just wanted to see new places and experience new cultures and just be free. I had been, under the watchful eye of Uncle Sam for a few years, and it was time to cut loose. And I really wanted to cut loose. And that's what I did. But with that came a real heavy duty partying lifestyle that I kind of learned in the Marines. And that really, really took root in my late 20s and became a part of my identity into my 30s. And I met the would-be mother of my children and would-be wife while I was traveling in Australia. I ended up going to England eventually on one of my travels and ended up staying there. And we got married in England. Both my children were born in England. I naturalized in England, became a dual citizen, ended up working in local governments, as sort of a kind of a hybrid law enforcement type of local council type of role that doesn't really exist in the US, but you gotta get the picture. So community outreach, working closely with the police, kind of thing like that. And I did that for a while. And then as the kids got older, we decided that we wanted to send them to this particular school that exists only here. And this was a decision that was hard for me because I really, really enjoyed my life over in the UK. I was in the pub every day, having a good old time. I had a great circle of friends. I didn't have too much to worry about. Things were ticking along nicely for me. But this was something that my wife was very serious about. And my sister was very serious about, and kind of swayed us both into, this is really what you want for your kids. And it got me to thinking, like, okay, so we ended up making the move anyway. And here we are. Once we moved to the US, it was time to make money. And what I was doing in the UK didn't exist over here. So what could I do? I found a friend who had a way into the laborers union. So I did that for a few years, and I was drinking heavily at that point and really kind of hating my life. Hated the work, hated being treated like a number, hated being laid off all the time. I didn't like anything about it. Hated the commute into Boston. Hated the early mornings and the thankless tasks and the brutal hours and everything about it. Really, it was soul destroying work, and that went on and on and on until I finally reached breaking point with my drinking. To the point where I had to wave the white flag at it and just could not carry on with my life the way it was. And I had to make a change. It was to the point where if I had carried on the way I was going to die. My health was failing. My mental health was failing. I was having to hide myself away from my children. I was losing touch with reality. I was starting to have auditory hallucinations. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I mean, I was losing the plot on all fronts. And it's amazing how fast that tailspin happened. And by this point, I was in my mid 40s. I was around 44 or so. And I waved the white flag. It was time to get help. And I finally I struggled with that for a while, and I got better for a bit, and I was in and out of detoxes trying to get myself right. And that's when I met you guys and got introduced into solar. And I was still kind of wrestling with it at that point. I was like better, but not fully better, right? And it was at one point where I realized that I hadn't really fully committed to getting myself right. That I realized, like, I have to just stop what I'm doing, completely just stop everything and go into a facility and get myself mentally right. I have to fix me before I can do any of this properly. And I finally just made a decision to just stop what I was doing, put absolutely everything on hold, go to a rehab facility and work on me and just do that. And actually, Mr. Featherstone here drove me to that facility, I remember. And that was the last day that I ever have had a drink. And that was back in 2018.
Proud of you, dude.
Yeah.
Really proud of you.
Yeah. And at that point, that was when I was in sales. As you mentioned, I kind of went into sales, but initially failed miserably because I was still dipping my toes in and out of drinking. And once I went to rehab and came out, I took a little time off, chilled out, and then I kind of asked nicely, hey, can I come back? But can I go just into field marketing? I want to learn grassroots, how to do this from the ground up. Where can I start to just learn? I want to do this. I want to do this the right way. Like, even if it's the hard way, I want to do it the right way. I want to learn all the skills that I need to get good whatever that takes. And then that's what I did.
It's, I remember, you said this is what, 2018?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I was away, I was out of town, and I got a phone call from one of the great leaders that I've ever had the pleasure of working with, which was Lance Rich.
Mm.
And I'm sure I'll probably send him this link. And I'm sure he would love to hear your story and see how you're doing today. But for whatever reason, you know, and thank God for great leaders that just come in your life sometimes. But Lance is huge. Lance was somebody that was in tune to, like, I was oblivious to this. Like, I know if, I don't know, if somebody's drinking a lot or something, like, I don't know, I maybe kind of noticed, but like I was kind of naive to certain things. And Lance has like a sixth sense for what it is. And Lance was connected to you. What's crazy is, you know, Lance was a VP at the company and you were a new rep that really hadn't done much yet.
Barely anything.
And so, you know, I want to throw some, give some praise here and recognition to him, because I think he, for whatever reason, he knew who you were. He was attuned to this struggle. Mm-hmm. And then he calls me up and he says, I need you to go pick up Jeremy and take him to this facility. I don't know how Lance got in the loop on this.
I called him.
So you felt like he was somebody you could,
yeah,
for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And you were right. He was somebody you could call.
And it was like, I'm taking it to the top. I'm going right to the highest person I know, and I'm just going to wave the white flag, confess my sin, and see what happens.
You're lucky that he's a guy that when he gets that call, he takes it seriously. I know a lot of people that your problems are not their problems.
Right.
So Lance, you said you wanted to call somebody that you knew you could count on, and you know it was high enough. And so Lance did the same thing, and he called me, but he was wrong. I was gone. He couldn't count on. But I did pass the buck. I called the person that I knew I could count on, which was Mark Featherstone. And I said, hey, I just got this call from Lance. I don't know much about it. I'm on vacation with my family, but can you? And Mark says, done. I'll go do it. And
yeah, Lance called me. I remember I was on my way to sell a deal, I think. And he was like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm going to sell a deal. He's like, that deal don't matter. He's like, can you go meet up with Jeremy? And I was like, absolutely. You know, he's like, turn your car around right now. So yeah, huge shout out to Lance, you know, incredible guy. So,
you know, we didn't hit this like right on the head. Right. And we knew we were going to come in and talk about this. I don't know when you kind of opened the door to it, but like, we're going to talk about addiction a little bit and recovery. And I think, you know, one of the most beautiful things to experience in life is seeing somebody that you know and love and care about and watching them commit to making a change and then becoming somebody on the other side of that, I mean, you want to talk about a heartfelt story. Like, you know, why are you on here as such an early guest? Like, I knew for a fact you could follow them. And like, I actually had to put them up first so that they could get a few views. Because if your episode came on, this was going to be good, you know? So, but you know, there's a great place in my heart for you and Mark as well, because yeah, we saw the moment. I saw like the pre getting help and getting better, Jeremy. And then the post going into a facility, getting sober, coming out. You did what most people really, really struggle to do, which is take a step backwards. You were already in a closer position. So you could already go write up deals, close those deals. And then you came back and you said, let me just start at the very bottom. Let me go set appointments only. I'm going to go set appointments. I'm going to focus on myself and focus on doing a basic job really well. And you like laid down this foundation that became building blocks. And you know, I'm really proud of you and inspired by you, because that's a hard thing to do. And you've been doing it now consistently, and you've gotten better and better and better every year since I've known you. It's been really sick to see it. I'm just super grateful that you're a part of our organization. And I think you've been this story, you know, a lot of people that know you know that you'll talk pretty openly about this. And I think it's important that you do, because there are people that are looking for somebody to relate to. Because I imagine it's a pretty lonely feeling when you are at the at rock bottom or nearing rock bottom and feeling like you said it pretty well when you said, I was hiding from, like, you have to like shelter yourself away from the people that you love and the things you care about. And like, that's lonely. You felt like you had somebody to call. A lot of people don't feel like they have somebody to call. So just a quick message to anybody that may feel like that. You got somebody to call. Call me. There's always somebody to call. So make that call. And if you do, pretty remarkable things could happen.
Yeah. And, it was a long time. It was a long time. That year building up to breaking point was the longest year of my life. In and out of detoxes 8 times that year. Like how much missed time with my kids. Detoxes, you're in a detox for 3 to 5 days and it's a haze either side of that. And then, right back to drinking pretty much straight away. That whole year building up to that breaking point was lost. So basically all of 2017 was just a write-off of just bad health, bad mental health, and all of that. So putting yourself through such unbelievable pain to get to that point.
Could I ask,
that's the thing.
What's the hardest part? Like if somebody's listening right now is like kind of there, like what was the hardest thing to do and like the most impactful thing to do? Like what was it like kind of asking for help? Like did you have to muster up a lot of courage or like just, can you talk somebody through that?
Yeah. I mean, look, coming from especially a Marine Corps mindset, the hardest thing to do is to surrender and to admit to yourself, at least for me, to admit to myself that I'm powerless over this thing and that without help, it's never going to happen. That I need help for this to happen. And if I don't reach out for help, it's never going to happen. And it's only going to lead to an early grave and destitution and all of the horrible things that come along with it.
So as you were going, because you went to detox, you said you went to detox 8 times in a year. So is the distinction then that you were almost like you were doing that on your own accord by yourself, maybe not even telling people about it, like trying to just sweep it under the rug and muscle your way through it by yourself? Like, was that a distinction or what's the difference?
Yeah. I mean, I was going to AA meetings and things like that. So I was dipping my toes into the community, but, and I was still accepting failure. And until I just did not allow failure to be an option anymore, it was always going to be that way. And I had to just surrender to a higher power and to somebody helping me. I had to seek help. And at the end of the day, people want to help other people. And I think we get in our own heads about like, oh, this is something I have to figure out myself. Everybody has this, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps sort of attitude about everything. It's kind of like this American sort of bravado that we have about us. It's just not the case.
Yeah.
People want to help people. People are there to help you. And everybody wants to help you.
It's a human need to
right. And everybody around you can see that you're struggling.
And with that, Jeremy, like people naturally wanting to help people, you want to help people. And I want to go back to, throw a dart at so many moments that I've had where I've reached out to you in the last 5 years. I've been like, hey, this person needs some help, and this person needs a good person to talk to, and this person needs someone to lend an ear and whether it was, some sort of addiction or whatever, you're like, hey, tap me in. I want to have that conversation with them, and you drop what you're doing and you do that. And I think about leadership a lot, and I know we're going to get into leadership, today, and your path there and how you've grown there. And I think everybody remembers, like anyone who's in any role in leadership remembers when that started, right? And I remember catching up with you after you were in that facility. How long were you there? Was it 6 weeks, 5 weeks?
28 days.
28 days. Got it.
Life changing though.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about it.
And I remember catching up with you. I don't know if you were still in and we connected, or you had gotten out, but you were telling me how you became a leader for people in there, and you started helping people in there really quickly. And I never forgot that, because I watched you get out of there and then continue to do that for so many people around you in business and in their life. As long as I've ever known you, you've just given so freely of yourself to so many people. And yeah, man, like what's at the source of that?
Well, when people are winning and succeeding in anything, I have found, and this is a credit to you folks as mentors in business and indeed in life. Anybody who's winning and succeeding, you're not going to look at somebody who's an up and comer or learning, or that wants to get good. You're not going to look at that person as a threat or competition. You're going to look at that person as an opportunity for you to give back, because along your way, somebody helped you, no doubt. And I guarantee that you can both think back in your careers to who helped you along and who passed the ladder down, and who gave you the nudge that you needed, or who gave you, put the right bugs in your ear at the right time and gave you the right opportunities and the right moments and all of those things. So it's crucial. It's just crucial to give back whenever you've tasted any bit of success in anything. Mm-hmm. So if you've been able to string some sobriety together, it's crucial step 12 work that you indeed help others and show them the way, talk about how you've managed to do that, and just talk it out.
I think life and business and sobriety and whatever, there's a lot of commonality to everything that we're trying to do. Like if being in sales is like you're chasing an accomplishment, right? So there's a constant set a goal, chase it down, accomplish it, set a new goal, chase it down, accomplish it. We joke all the time that we must be a bunch of psychopaths, because at the beginning of every single month, the scoreboard goes back to 0. Like you might have just won and had your best ever, and you get, I don't know, like a half hour of excitement at the end of the day on the 31st of the month, and then you wake up to the scoreboard being 0 all of a sudden.
The anxiety is almost immediate when you
but the
sure,
there is a process, and it's similar, when you're trying to accomplish something or trying to quit something, there's a lot of like common things that you need to do both. And so the man who you are today and the man who came out of that facility 5 years ago, started applying that same determination or that same commitment. You called it commitment. And I've recognized, like, when somebody's truly committed to something, then they are likely to accomplish what it is that they're setting out to do. And when they're not truly, because they're saying you're committed, and then there's actually being committed.
And then the leadership part of that, is like taking it a step further, is like when you figure something out or when you accomplish it, you have this innate desire to turn around and give it away. And it's like, well, I figured this thing out, whether it's how to sell a deal or whether it's, I figured out how to quit something that hasn't been good for me for a long time. Like you have this desire to turn around and give it away to other people, and I think that's the leadership distinction.
Yeah. And what we're going to get to, just to kind of paint a quick little roadmap here, is there's some commitments that you've made, one, getting sober, to becoming really good on the doors at age what?
I was 40 something, 45.
Age 45. So most people view this as a young man or young woman.
Nope. Certainly not the case. Yeah. It's a misconception that you can't dive into something new at some later stage of life.
And the wisdom that you bring along to that gives you an incredible advantage. But I watched you commit to that. I watched you commit to becoming a really good salesperson after figuring out how to set and generate opportunities, like all the prospecting. Because sales is, there's prospecting and then there's closing. And you figured out how to prospect at a high level. You figured out how to close deals at a high level. And then you decided that you were going to lead a group of people. And you committed to leading that group of people effectively. And that became the number one team in the company. It was Mass Central. MAC, baby. Mass Central was the number one team in the company for, I don't know, it must have been about a 2-year stretch, I want to say, roughly. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it was, everybody knows that there was a long stretch of time where Mass Central was number one. Jeremy Goddard was the district manager of that team. And you made another commitment or another decision. And that decision was like, you're going to create opportunities for the people on your team. If you saw leadership in others. And I remember when you came to Mark and probably went to Pat as well, and you guys were having conversations about, I think there's something bigger here. And you had a vision to grow your one team, which was a great team, into a region that would have multiple teams. And so anointing or giving leadership opportunities away to certain people on your team for them to grow their own teams. And that is when the region known as the Hub was born. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. But, the Hub for many years here has been the number one region in the company. And so you actually did something that I see very few people actually go do, which is start from step one, grow a team, grow it into a really good team, create leadership opportunities for the people on that team, help them grow into their own standalone teams. And then all of a sudden there's a full region of multiple teams and multiple leadership opportunities that were created because, we could probably parse out credit in a lot of different ways.
For sure.
But there's one constant, and that was your leadership and the decision that you made that you were going to go after that and that you were going to be relentless in your pursuit of it. And it's happened. And so that's what's happened. And so now we're going to just rewind the tape and we're going to go talk a little bit about how that happened. And I think there's great insights here for anybody listening right now, which is, I want to grow my team, or I want to become a leader in solar. I want to grow my team into multiple teams. And, well, success leaves clues. And so we're going to go identify a couple of these clues right now. Mr. Goddard, how's that sound?
Sounds good.
So why don't you I think it'd be great if, I just kind of told the factual points of it was this, then this, then this, then this. Could you give us a little storytelling? Take us through tell us a story of the last couple of years. And as we're going through that, we'll probably interrupt and maybe ask you to drill into something, or if you feel like going down a rabbit hole as you discover one, I think you should do it. But let's tell that story and then let's dissect it a little bit.
Starting with when we were small.
Why don't you start with the day that you were given the nod
to become the district manager?
You had a manager, and that manager left the company, right?
Okay, yeah.
So we go. Well, I think unanimously we all kind of looked. I don't know. You tell the story. I'm not the guest.
Well, at the time we were small. I think we were maybe 6 of us.
Yeah.
And I'll start with this. The mantra, and it has been my mantra, and whenever I'm not living by my mantra, it, because the numbers stink.
Good to know.
And that is, leaders have to lead from the front. In this industry, it is an absolute, it's a non-negotiable. It seems like I haven't I haven't seen a way around it yet. If there is one, I don't know. Maybe someday, but it doesn't seem to be a thing. You got to lead from the front, and that was the way it was. We had a small team. I think it was me and about 5 other people, and I was like, you know what, guys, it's nose to the grindstone, and I was finding a way to get myself double-digit deals every month, and we just kind of grew slowly at that point into a bigger team. We were attractive because we were getting deals in, and people were seeing that we could succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So people were sticking around, and we were showing them how to get deals, and we were growing organically, slowly. Once we got ourselves up to about a dozen or so people, we suddenly found ourselves in a position where the team became a powerhouse, and we were doing like 100 deals all of a sudden. It kind of blew up. We're like, holy moly, and I was still doing it myself. Like, there was no foot off the gas with personal performance. It was a non-negotiable the whole way through. And I had a couple of people that I could definitely rely on, and we brought on great talent like Steve Diamond. That was, a game changer, obviously greatest solar sales guy in the industry. And that helped big time, of course. And we grew around, we grew around him. And once that team got big enough, we were able to identify someone. It was Matt Kilrain at the time, and branch off a New Hampshire team, and that was successful for a good spell. We had a good run where.
I want to pause for a second before we go there. I think where most people get stuck is between like getting to that, like, oh, my team does 100+ deals a month. Well, there's not that many leaders in solar that can say that. That seems to be a really high bar. What?
It was the PRA more than anything. We just had a really high PRA.
PRA standing for per rep average. So the average number of deals under, if you take your total number of deals divided by your total number of reps, you do 100 deals with 10 reps, your PRA is 10.
Yeah, so we had a really high PRA.
So, but can we? I want to just pause for a moment there, because I think that foundation. Yes, you had a high PRA. Okay, you can't onesie twosie your way. And what I mean by that is if every rep on the team does one deal, you're not going to go get a group of 100 people to do 100, because mostly what's happening is most everybody around you is failing. And that was not the case for your team. I believe the tipping point was when you had 6, 7 double-digit sales reps per month consistently doing it. I think that was the tipping point. Like you said, we became attractive. Well, yeah, success is attractive. If you are manifesting, double-digit sales, and those around you are doing it too, then people who want to become that will be very attracted to it. But talk about it, like, what did you learn? And maybe was there any mistakes that you made in that early phase, or something you had to change or adjust relatively quickly because it wasn't serving you? What are some of like the hurdles from small team with big aspirations to bigger team actually accomplishing those aspirations?
If I started listing off my mistakes that I've made along the way, we could be here for a really long time.
So this turned into a Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
3 hours.
Oh gosh. Mistakes. There's so many people along the way that I in retrospect maybe wish I had done better with. Maybe nurtured better, spent more time with. maybe just one tweak here or there and they would have made it. And it's hard. It's hard to look back and go, oh, could that have worked? Could that person have worked? Because so many times people quit or give up, or you have to quit on them right before the magic happens.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I feel like we talked about this earlier. I feel like the biggest mistake people make when they dive into a new endeavor, and let's face it, solar for most people is going to be a new endeavor, right? Like, unless you're coming from another solar company, to this is probably new for you. And if you're, and this is true for anything, if you're diving into anything new, I feel like if you don't dive in fully and remove all safety nets, you are going to find yourself half-assing it. And I think it's a very, very common mistake. People tend to tippy-toe into things. And when you're tippy-toeing, the commitment level just isn't there. Your level of determination is not going to be anywhere near what it needs to be. You have to be, much like with my sobriety situation, I didn't have a choice but to succeed. It was succeed or die, right? And I'm not saying you have to put yourself in and live in constant existential crisis, but you definitely need to be fully committed. And if you're coming into this thing and leaving failure as a possible option for you, then it's an option for you, and it could well happen. Don't leave it as an option. Got to be absolutely determined to make this thing work.
When you look back at some of those, I think what happened was, as I was trying to read your mind, there was images of people that started flowing through, like, oh, this person they had promise, like they were almost there. Or this person here, like, when you look back there, so let's speak to anybody right now that's running a team or has aspirations of running a team. You don't have to get specific about any one individual person, but what do you wish you would have done? Like, if you could actually go back and correct some of those, if you could actually create a new future today where a handful of those people that flash through your memory are still here and thriving and growing and maybe becoming leaders themselves, like, what do you think ought to have been done?
Spend more time with them, more time in their proximity, more physical time in their space, going the way.
Getting on the doors.
Yeah.
Getting to homes.
Yep.
Going through their pipeline.
A leader knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way, right? So something there was lacking on my part. Interesting.
Do when you see other leaders, like, you get to observe from a little bit higher altitude today, but do you think that's being delivered on? Do you think that leaders today maybe let's talk about our organization, like, do you see people living that or delivering on that the way that it needs to be done, or do you think there's room?
I think there's always room for improvement. I know, as Hansel DeSoto loves to say, that the numbers never lie. People lie, or however.
Ben lie, woman lie, don't lie.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie, and it shows in the numbers when people are in their true integrity, right? And when not, it's pretty glaringly obvious too.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think you clearly have a lot of success stories. There's people that have become leaders on your team. So clearly there's people that you spend adequate time with and like worked and developed them. How do you go from a small underperforming team to a small performing team?
From a small underperforming team to a small...
Most people listening to this podcast that run a team in solar, most of them probably have a small team, and the majority of the team is not performing at a level that any one of us would deem like really good. First, and this is common in solar, I know. I see it all over the place. How do you go from that, where most anybody running a team, the majority of them are in that space where they are a leader, they're probably a leader for the first time, So they're very excited about doing it. That's the beauty of solar, is you get opportunities earlier than you probably would in any other industry, because the industry had been growing and it's new. And so everybody's inexperienced and underqualified. So who better than you? So there's people out there listening right now. They're running a team. The team is not where they want it to be. They're not living into their aspirations. Like, what, if you were to just drill them with, like, look them in the eyes and say, do this, like, what would you say?
First and foremost, and it is the formula is so bonehead simple, it's ridiculous. First and foremost, you have to take ownership of your own personal performance, and it has to be superb. If your team is small, then you are the horse. You have to be leading from the front, and you have to be the top performer on your team. Everybody on your team has to be looking up at you, and you have to be number one, period. It's non-negotiable. Number two, you got to have somebody to race with. So you got to have a right-hand guy who is also awesome, is equally up to the task, and wants to race with you. Find that guy or girl or whomever and race with that person, and make it your mission every month to be super competitive with that person. Competing with that person is going to drive other people to want to be competitive with you guys. And it just snowballs from there. What's that old video of, like, the one person dancing in the field? And
I was just thinking about the crazy dancing guy.
Right.
It's like,
doesn't take.
You got to have the courage, right, to go dance alone and get it and go perform alone.
But that first follower is what makes
it. Somebody's like, you know what, I'm in on this. And then all of a sudden you're doing it together. And then the whole team is just like, ooh, I'm in on this too. It's not risky anymore to get involved in the production and selling a lot, and going for it. Yeah, you're right, man.
Yeah. So the work ethic becomes contagious. The success becomes contagious. And when things start to get well greased, it just becomes infectious, and everybody's excited and can't wait for the next milestone. And you start incentivizing behaviors and doing exciting, fun things together, creating a culture of success. And it snowballs organically really, really fast, faster than you would think. But you gotta be the horse.
I think that's
simple formula.
Your team is a mirror of you.
Riley Traveler once said to me, if your team sucks, you suck.
I believe I said it with love. That, you know what? As much care and, as much care as you want to wrap that into, like sometimes people need to hear the truth. And the truth is, like, if your team sucks, well, you suck.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't be good, because your team can be good. You can be good, but your team is a reflection of who you are as a leader. And like what you said was, the thing that you discovered was nobody was going to be the horse that set the pace. You had a small team. There was only one person who could really be responsible and committed to it, and that was you. And of course, you are the only person that can be responsible and committed to it, because you're the one, the way that this is set up is your income is tied to the performance of the team. Well, that's not true for an individual contributor on the team. So for anyone to expect that they are going to take the mantle of leadership and be the horse and everybody follows, the incentive isn't even in it for them. So you're just wrong. You might get it from them for a month or two, like maybe, but if somebody's going to be the leader, you said, I realized that I had to be the horse that everybody could follow. And then you realize the second most critical piece was having a right hand, or having somebody by your side that was in it with you, that wanted to compete with you. Now, it was still your goal to beat them and be number one, but it was their goal to beat you. And all of a sudden, that competitive nature between the two of you, other people started to compete. I remember when this was happening. When
the arrival of Steve Diamond, then Isaiah Settles.
Yeah.
And so on.
Great people coming in. Yeah. Marco's popping in and becoming a closer and like setting, putting up good, impressive numbers. There's so many people, we're going to miss people by naming names. So I want to do that, but shout out everybody who knows who you are and were a part of this, like shout out, because great things have happened because of your efforts. Okay. So that's going. You've, like any person and any leader, I've watched your graph go up and to the right when you zoom out. But when you zoom in, there's been moments where it's not going up and to the right. In fact, if you zoom in on the right time frame, it's like, oh, we're backsliding. Talk to everybody right now who's going through a period where like it's not going the way that they wanted it to go.
Talk to myself, right?
Well, maybe you're in it right now. But again, we just have to zoom out a little bit. But if we're zoomed in on it, it's like, do you ever, like, what is that like going through those moments? Because everybody goes through them. You're not alone in this. It's not unique to you. Everybody deals with it. Like, what's it like for you? What's it like to be Jeremy Goddard, but it's not going well? You're going backwards and you can't figure out what to do to fix it. What's that like?
It's horrible. Let's face it. I
can't check yourself into a facility for that one, can you?
I remember an interview with, this isn't going to ring so true for you guys because it's not American sports, but Frank Lampard is a famous English footballer.
Oh, of course he is. Yeah, I know that.
And he ended up managing Chelsea, who was the club that he once played for. And he sucked as a manager. He was an incredible player, but as a manager, he was terrible. And the team ended up doing really, really bad. And he said, you know, as a player, when the team wins, it's great. And, you know, when the team loses, it hurts. But as a manager, when the team loses, the pain is so much worse. The pain is just so, you feel it so much harder as the manager when your team's losing. So yeah, that really rings true for me. Like you know, the players on the team are concerned about the players' performance, right? And like how did I do? But the team is, you know, what matters to me. And when that's not going the way I'm hoping, that hurts me. And I can only look in the mirror. Where else am I going to look? Right? Like I have to own it. I'm the leader of this team, and if it's not going the way I'm wanting it to, then it's on me 100%.
So what's the turnaround point? You know, like is it back to basics? Like you get back to fundamentals? Like where do you zoom back in order to get the graph moving up into the right again? What are you in that?
It all has to come back down to the leaders have to be leading from the front, and again, that has to come down to me leading from the front. Yet again, you know, it's all back down to that, and it's
so you see that falling out. If that starts slipping or falling out,
yeah,
there's not a whole lot of diagnostics to do. You're saying like that's it. That must be there. Then we can talk about everything else. But if that's not there,
that one basic thing is just it's so fundamental to the success of the team.
It's hard to
because that's so they need everybody that is in your proximity needs to see constant social proof that this is doable. I can succeed at this. How do I know I can succeed at this? Because everybody around me is succeeding at this. And if I don't constantly see that, then I start to waver. Maybe now I'm only dipping my toes in instead of being fully committed. Mm-hmm. Right? And if you're not fully committed, it ain't going to happen.
Is there something that you do to help people commit? Can you identify that? And is it something that people either have or they don't? Or is there something that can be done from a leadership standpoint to help people make that commitment or to identify when they don't have it?
How do I identify if somebody isn't fully committed?
Yeah.
Well, again, the numbers don't lie.
But more of my question was like, yeah, you can identify that somebody's not committed. Can you actually make a difference and like help somebody actually commit versus wavering or waffling? If you can, how do you do that?
Again, I think it's putting yourself in people's proximity, getting out with them, sharing your time. Yeah.
Pretty simple. You know what's awesome about this? And one of the things I love about you is you kind of distill it down. It almost sounds like it's like too easy. I mean, okay, so there's nothing more to it. Then I have to, but there's a lot that goes into that. But you're saying I have to lead from the front. If I am leading from the front by example, like the rest will follow. And if I want to make an impact on somebody, I have to spend adequate time with them doing the work that they're supposed to be doing and creating enough of a bond where I can make a difference. I love that answer because neither one of those answers gives some fake BS silver bullet. Or if you just say this, I love this. My favorite thing to see is somebody says, if you just say this, then this happens. There's no such thing as magic words, dude. This isn't Hogwarts. Okay.
Yeah. If anybody was looking for, some profound, revelation, it's not here. It's very, very basic. Look, just commit, put nose to grindstone, lead from the front.
I think there's a path a lot of people are on, right? Where they have an idea in mind. If you're a leader, if you're a rep, you have an idea in mind of where you want to go, right? And then there's certain things required that you need to do in order to get there. And then you start doing those things and you figure out those things. And some of them are taxing, some of them take time, some of them are exhausting. And then you find yourself like approaching, and maybe not even there yet, but approaching exactly where you imagined where you would want to be. And then I think, and I've fallen victim to this too, so many times in my life, in my career. It's like, oh, cool, I'm there, or I'm close. And the idea that when I get there, that I don't need to continue to do certain things that got me there. And when I'm hearing you talk about people coming and going, right? You're like, oh, that one person, like if I spent a little more time with them, or if I spent, an extra day or two with them, it's like, well, I think it's more so if I continued forever to do some of the things that continued to make an impact on that person, that, there's no stopping point is what I'm getting at. And I think most people have a stopping point in mind with things. It's like, oh, well, a new rep comes in, to my team. I teach them how to sell a deal. I'll go out in the field with them a couple of days, and then they'll figure it out and they'll close their first sale, and then they're off to the races. And we have that in our mind. And then they might do that initial thing, and then we're like, awesome, I'm going to go do this 20 more times. And then people fall off, right? And then you realize like regular oil changes are needed with vehicles, and like scheduled maintenance, and popping in on somebody and spending time in the field with them is so important, and so important forever. Yeah. What's on your mind about that?
No, you're right. I think, we tend to put these kind of time limitations and time stamps or milestones,
finish lines.
Yeah. Milestones on things we want to achieve. Like, oh, when I get to this certain level, I won't have to do this, unpleasant task anymore, or this particular unpleasant task, or whatever. And the reality is that in business and in sales, your relationships with your people, it's a constant. It's a constant. And you can't ever take your foot off the gas when it comes to your communication, your training, your constant, every aspect of your day needs to be geared towards either how am I getting business? How are my people getting business? Or, how are we set up to get business futuristically? Like if your day isn't geared towards one of those three things, like you're probably wasting your time. So, and that just kind of never goes away. Like you say, like you can't
And it's not like it's always all the time thing always, and I think there's a distinction there where it's like, oh, we got to grind until you got nothing left to give, it's like, well, no, it's like, you just need to know when you need to re-engage certain things and when you need to pull that lever again, and have the awareness around that. And I've seen you do that time and time again.
Yeah, there's no, one of the things that I like talking about is breaking the stigma that what we do is a grind. It's like, it only feels like a grind if you're just inefficient and going about it begrudgingly. Then it's a grind.
Yeah.
That could be knocking on doors. It could be, running the team or, dealing with people. As a leader, you end up, people's problems kind of boil up to you, And so if you view dealing with people's problems as this heavy burden, one, you got to reframe how you look at it. The best thing, one of my favorite things to say as a joke is, thank God nobody can solve their own problems, because then we wouldn't have jobs. True. If everybody could just solve their own problems all the time, it didn't need any motivation or any of this. If every salesperson on the team was just perfectly self-sufficient, well, then there's no need for anybody in leadership to make any money.
What a boring life that would be, though.
Yeah. So, it's a gift to be able to be in leadership and to have people that need you. That's a gift. And it should fill your cup. And if it starts to wear you down, you need to go in for a quick little mental checkup, because that's not the right way to look at it. I'm going to shift the conversation here a little bit. We're kind of getting towards the end of this. And I just want to highlight, a couple of things here that you talked of, something that anybody could take away from this. Like, I think first and foremost, the addiction piece and recovery and like sobriety, and getting help from those around you. I think that's such a big universal. It doesn't matter if you're in sales or anything. There's a lot of people struggling with life, and they may need you. If you're somebody listening and you're struggling with life, like me, I hope this was a great reminder for you, or a great nudge in the right direction. And if you're somebody that knows somebody who's struggling with life, I hope this is a good reminder for you to be aware of that person. And you never know, it could be really frustrating. I'm sure, if we were to talk with some of your family members about that time before you were truly committed to where you were tippy-toeing with sobriety, everybody's filled with all this hope. And then there's like a letdown and a letdown and a letdown. And then what a shame if everybody gave up on it and gave up on you, because what's happened now is such an incredible story. I've met your family. I've met your kids. You have great kids. Since you got into the solar space, I imagine you got into it like fairly penniless, less than penniless. So, you started knocking on doors.
Rich bailed me out there too.
Yeah. So, you start knocking on some doors and you start figuring some things out. You figure out how to sell a cool product that's good for you, good for your clients, good for the environment. You find this like cool thing that's really like feels genuinely good, and like all of a sudden your cup starts to get filled. And then you fast forward, and you own a house in Hudson, Mass. That's a beautiful house on some beautiful property. Being able to I remember when you told me you took the whole family to Europe. You guys all went to England, and like to be able to go and do that, there's just incredible blessings that can come from doing a great job and like being the best version of yourself. And I think you're a perfect example of that. My favorite thing about what we do is, and we talk about, work that matters and doing something that matters. We partnered with the Give Power Foundation shortly after we started the business back in June 2020. I made the partnership June, July, August, September, sometime in there. And we started making donations to the Give Power Foundation. Every time a solar installation happened, we would donate just a small piece of the profits to the Give Power Foundation. And they use that money to generate clean energy and filter water in remote villages and in developing countries where they don't have access to clean water or electricity. And kind of started out as something that, we knew we wanted to do something that mattered. I think a big reason why we're all attracted to the solar space is because it's an incredible product and it really matters. energy prices are through the roof and they're getting higher and higher. So real human beings, real people, real families, and real households have a real problem, and we're able to solve that problem. At the same time, like clean energy, like, I don't know if climate change real or if this, that, or the other is real, but I do know, like, I probably wouldn't want to live next to, a coal-fired plant. I wouldn't want to breathe that in all the time. And so to generate clean energy right on your roof that's cheaper and better, for a homeowner to use, well, okay, that's a win. And well, we can make money doing it. So that's nice. And we donate a little bit of that money and we actually solve an even bigger problem, which there are people that don't have clean water to drink. And there's people that don't have electricity. And so we're talking about kids that go to school and they're studying, electrical engineering, and they don't even have lights to turn on.
Yeah. Or a computer to
work, And so we partnered with the Give Power Foundation. And we went on our first trek back in 2022. I want to say it was early 2022. Now we've gone on 5 or 6 of them. We've been to every country that Give Power operates in. We've built solar systems in all of these countries. You, my friend, are a unique individual because you have done the work on a Give Power trek twice. Most people in solar that are aware of Give Power or organization maybe makes donations to it, they have this aspiration to go do that one time, and you've done it twice. And I wanted to talk to you about Give Power, and if you could just share with everybody what it means to you and what that is,
Well, yeah, I love Give Power. Shout out to Sanjay and Dusty back in Nepal,
and Robin.
And Rob. Yeah,
I don't remember names. And just kidding. Sorry.
I miss those guys. And I hope they listen to this. Amazing place, an amazing opportunity. And such a huge, selling point for us that, every install that we do a donation to this amazing organization. And I've been blessed to be able to do the Nepal experience twice with my friends and colleagues. And it's just this breathtaking trek in the Himalayas. The last one was a village elevation 7,000 feet plus, which is higher than Mount Washington, which is the highest peak in New England. Mm-hmm. So it's just mind blowing. The scenery, the people, and the very obvious impacts that we're having. The entire village and surrounding area, they had shut down. I think there was some kind of factory or plant or something, and they shut the whole place down to have the celebration when we lit our lighting ceremony for the last solar array that we did there. And people came from miles and miles around for this ceremony when we fired up the solar system for the last one we did. And it was a milling station for grain. And you could just tell it was hugely impactful, and people were so excited about it.
Can you give a little context to like what the transformation was? So like, how did they have to operate before, and then you guys show up and you build this solar array and you power this mill, and then what they're like is like, what changes for them?
Well, so the mill is going to, first of all, they're going to be able to mill their grain right there in the village. So it has immediate impact for the people in that village. But it also means, so they don't have to walk literally miles and miles and miles to.
Because before there, I remember you telling me that this group, especially the first one, I remember the first one, maybe a little more intimately, but they would take these rucksacks with
miles,
and they would walk for miles. And this isn't like walking down the sidewalk. It's like, it's in a mountain range. Right. So it's like pretty intense the way that they would have to just go use a mill.
I would describe it as arduous. Yeah, brutal journey. I was breathless, just going from the cottage where we stayed to the site, which was maybe 200 yards, but uphill. But the air is so thin.
Sure.
I mean, it was, and I was in decent shape for that second one. The first one, not so much, but that second one, I was ready. And I'm telling you, these people, it's incredible. It's incredible. Like,
speaking of arduous, Jared, I was on the first one with you, and you did all the hard work. You were the first person.
I volunteered.
Give you the shovel, the dim you did, and it's just of you waist deep in a hole that you dug.
Myself and Hannah.
And it's you and Hannah. And then shout out to Hannah too. She was in there with you.
She sure was.
And that earth was concrete, pretty as close to concrete as you can get. And that picture is just sheer pain on your face. I think you were in that hole for hours, But you've just never been averse to just getting your hands dirty. And
I volunteered for hole digging duty. I figured I was the most qualified, having dug some ditches in the Marines and stuff. So
yeah.
But yeah, a lot of fun, and you could tell it had an amazing impact. And so the second thing that mill is going to do for that village is it's going to bring in revenue. So people are going to come from other places to mill their grain there, and that's actually going to be a revenue source for Zass, that village.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I remember your motivation for we did a competition, and the winners got to go on this track, and I've never seen you more motivated. And that's actually what I love about our identity and who we are. Like the amount of fight that people will go through to win the opportunity to go sleep on a dirt floor and eat, maybe not the
manual labor,
and go work and do manual labor without cell service for a week. Like that was the reward for doing a great job, was you got to go do hard manual labor. And that's what I love about who we are and the leadership that we have here is it's the caliber of person you are is somebody that you're way more inspired to go bust your butt, to go give back and go have this experience of like being able to give something that these people just could never conjure up on their own. They don't have the resources. They could probably do it, but man, it would take a long time and a lot of planning and a lot of money. And, we just go do that, and we go do it twice a year. Anybody listening or anybody's like, hey, I checked out Boundless, or I interviewed at Boundless, or I'm in the solar space and I'm kind of looking. It's like, we don't care about everything. Okay. We don't care to be the biggest, baddest solar company in the world. Maybe one day we will be, then that's great, but that's not the mission. But what we do care about is we want to do work that matters. And we want to make sure that if we are winning, then you bet your ass we're going to turn around and give the same way we've been given. Okay. We were born. I can't speak for you guys, but I'm pretty sure this is correct. And everybody listening here, if you're born and alive today and you're living in the United States of America, you're already one of the luckiest 0.001% of people in human history. Never before has there been a time, like even, I don't want to say like it's not difficult to be in poverty in the United States, but even poverty in the United States is better than most of human history. And so here we are, we can go walk in the other room, turn on the faucet, and the water will run forever. It'll never stop unless somebody shuts off the spigot. And I grew up that way. I don't know about you guys, but I never had to go like get a bucket of water from the well. I could just turn on the faucet and the water would run. And I could just turn on the lights and the lights. And the worst thing that would happen if you left the lights on too long is your dad gets mad at you. And yet there's actually over 1 billion people on planet Earth today that don't have access to electricity, clean drinking water, something that we take for granted. So that matters to us. I know that matters to you. One of the reasons I love you as a human being is because I know how much that matters to you. We want to do work that matters. I think it's important. I think life and making money and being in business and trying to win and compete all the time just for the sake of winning or being better by comparison or something, such an empty place to operate from. And we want to do work with a purpose and we want to attract the signal, we're sending the signal out to people that are looking for a place that has a purpose and actually does something that matters instead of just trying to flex on social media about how cool your car is or how expensive your dumb watch is. We care about that. I know you care about that. Jeremy, you're an incredible leader. You're an incredible human being. I'm grateful. I'm a better person because I have you in my life. I'm grateful. I'm very, very grateful that you have let me witness this part of your life, which was the end of the worst parts of your life and the beginnings and the current version of the best parts of your life. It's a gift to me. It's a gift to all the listeners. Anybody here listening, guys and gals, it's pretty simple. Commitment matters. Really actually being committed, and you know it deep inside, whether you're actually committed or not. We heard it right here firsthand. Being semi-committed never worked, and being committed worked. That was applicable to addiction and sobriety. And then you take that exact same principle and you apply it to chasing, now not trying to stop doing something or leave something behind, but trying to get something or accomplish something. And you apply the same principle, which is fully commit. And you know what the difference is between being half in, half out and actually committed, because that was the difference in, you said life or death, and that might be true. So it's the difference between life and death. It's the difference between success and failure. And we just heard it right here. And then the beautiful lessons here. It's so simple. It really is so simple. It might not be what anybody wants to hear, because it'd be nice to get like a secret, easy weapon to use. But you said it pretty simply. If you're leading a team and you want to see your team perform, well, look in the mirror and start there. And then once you got that going, now look at who's to your right side. Who's your right hand? And if nobody's there, keep going until you get that right hand person by your side. And then once you got them, keep going with them. And then you'll find that other people start stepping up. And then once you have a crew, like we didn't even get into, this might need to be another episode, because we didn't even get into, going from, a small little group that's doing 100 deals. Well, I think your best month ever as a region was just shy of 400. And so you're actually somebody that started with a small group of 5 or 6 people that grew it into an organization with multiple teams doing almost 400 deals in a month. That's pretty impressive. And I don't think that you had any silver bullets along the way, other than I look at myself in the mirror, I make sure I'm delivering. And then I ask myself, who's to my right hand? Who's to my left hand? Who's with me? If I'm not delivering first, then nobody can be with me anyway. And then the secret to getting somebody in your tutelage to succeed and win is spending quality time with them, doing work with them. And fortunately, Jeremy, that's not enough information to sell a book with. But you could have a hell of a bumper sticker sale, my friend. And what I love about this is it's just that it's true. Some of the truest and most valuable things are really simple. And I think you're just a testament to not overthinking it and just making sure you're hitting the simple things and knocking those out of the park.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you were looking for profound, it wasn't going to be here, but it's plain and simple is where I live. Yeah.
Mark, what do you got to send us away with, my friend?
Yeah. Jeremy, I love you. We've been working together for a long time. I've had you in my life for a long time. And I think I have learned from and taken away more from you than you have from me. And you've been a beacon of light and hope and resilience and grit and all the things that I always aspire to be in my life. And so I thank you for that, man. You've been an incredible inspiration to me and to so many people. And so I love you. It's been an honor actually interviewing you today in this podcast.
Appreciate you guys. I love you guys too. And I think solar has in many ways saved my life. And I owe you guys a debt of gratitude. You've helped me along the way. It just immensely. I mean, I look at you both as mentors, and hey, let's face it, when you're in your mid 40s and you're at the end of your rope, it's time to humble up. And you're a couple of young guys. I think when I met you, you hadn't even turned 30 yet, right? Or neither of you had turned 30 yet. So talk about humbling up, but that's what you got to do. When you got to fully commit, and you got to get humble, and you got to start from scratch sometimes. And that's it. That's the secret sauce.
Keep it simple, stupid, they say. Ladies and gents, this has been Jeremy Goddard, the Godfather, aka J God. One of the greatest rises in the solar industry that I've been fortunate enough to experience. And thank you so much for sharing today. This is The Signal. It's been episode 4. Do not forget, if you go to http://www.shamwow.com/The Signal, you can get a free ShamWow. And that's all you really need. We all know that. So, ladies and gents, thank you so much. Shout out to ShamWow for the multi-million-dollar ad. We really appreciate it. And we're going to go donate a little bit of that to the Give Power Foundation as well. Don't you worry. It's coming. It's for a good cause. It's been The Signal, episode 4. We'll see you later.